I'm Kate Watts and I'm Lucy's mum.
I'm Dorothy Manley and I'm Lucy's maternal grandmother.
Talk about me growing up. What was I like?
Very, very shy, very loving, very caring, real love of animals, especially horses and dogs. Yeah, but I mean, you were a real pleasure, but just very, very quiet.
Physically taller than most of the other children of the same age, very shy, never wanted to be the centre of attention.
Any memories that you conjure up in your head when you think of me in particular? Any funny stories?
Yes, at one Christmas time, you came downstairs and I said, "Oh look, Father Christmas has left the presents." And you said, "Silly him!"
As if I'd left them, he'd left them behind.
He'd left them behind.
I think Father Christmas has left some presents for you.
I think quite a lot. Silly him!
Silly him!
What were my goals for the future? What did I always want to do growing up?
You were very interested in animals, and I think initially you decided you were going to go into veterinary work. But as you got older, gradually that sort of changed and you wanted to go into medicine, become a doctor. You're definitely the tutoring service. Mary Mylott had a very big influence on you. She truly believed in you as a person. I think one of the biggest things because the way I saw it was I just wanted your medical problems sorted out first. And I wasn't so worried about your education. But Mary Mylott said to me one day, if you don't focus on her education, you're taking a future away from her. Of course I wanted you to have a future. And I'm glad that now she did say that, because you achieved so well in school, well not in school, but with your GCSEs. And if she hadn't pointed that out to me, you did need to believe that you had a future.
How have I changed as a person as a result of my illness and the challenges that I've faced?
You've definitely grown, definitely grown as a person. I think sort of my brain tumour removal at that time, because I had done everything for you, suddenly you had to make all your own decisions. Jill Blake obviously had a big hand in that as well.
But I had to grow up.
You did have to grow up, you really did. You didn't have any alternative.
How have I changed as a result of being unwell?
You've become a very thoughtful, you have read widely, and so your understanding of the world around you and the people you meet has deepened because of your illness.
What do you think made me who I am today?
Perhaps a unique, almost unique view of life, because your illness, which became obvious when you were 14 or so, really made you what you are today.
So who in our family did I get the determination from?
Your dad's brains, definitely, but I think your granddad was a very, very determined man, quietly determined. But yeah, I think from your granddad, he was certainly the biggest influence on you whilst you were growing up.
Yeah. And he's always been the biggest male influence in my life. Yeah, wonderful man. Wonderful man. And also I think Grandma as well, she's very determined.
Quietly determined, yes.
Who did I get my determination from in this family?
Well, you had two very determined parents. Your father was a very determined man, and your mother overcame a lot of difficulties in order to succeed. So I think it's definitely in my family and in your granddad's family.
Who do I get my caring nature from?
From both my parents, and I'm quite a caring person, I think.
Who do you think I take after most in our family?
I think you're probably a good mixture of myself, your dad, my parents, your grandparents. I think the caring side from me, but your brains and your determination from your dad and my dad.
Yeah.
And my mum.
Yeah. Have I always been driven?
Definitely. Right from when you first were born, I knew you were going to be determined and driven.
So what type of person am I? What makes me in essence?
I think you just want to make the world a better place for yourself and for other people like you. You don't want to accept second best or anything like that. You want the best, not just for yourself, but for everybody in your position.
A young person who has faced illness and terminal illness with a courage that is really hard to define, but your ability to live with your life as best you can.
How would you describe me to someone that knows nothing about me?
Amazing, determined, very intelligent, but loving, so loving and so caring. I think that above everything else is your biggest attribute. I'm amazed at the transformation you've had over the last 10 years, because this shy little girl that I used to know has now blossomed into this confident young woman.
Well, when I think back and look at that shy little girl who wouldn't stand up in class, and I sit in a room with perhaps 30 or 40 other people, and there's this confident girl. I can hardly believe it.
I'm not so sure that very many people would have taken such a negative experience and turned it into such a positive one.
What do you think motivates me to do what I do?
I don't know. Maybe it's the thought that, you haven't all the time in the world, and that you have come through a teenage with an illness that would have defeated other people. And there's a great deal of love for you in the family, and you can't buy that. We're just amazed at what you have achieved in your 20-something years, more than able-bodied have ever achieved in a whole lifetime.
What do you think the one greatest achievement in my life that kind of sums up everything I've done?
I suppose it's the love you have for other people and your understanding of their needs. And I think that has influenced you to continue against all the odds.
If you could say one or two things to me, a quote, a piece of advice, what would you say?
Don't give up. You know, don't let anybody tell you you can't do something, because in actual fact, you truly can.
Bev Barkley, currently lead clinical nurse for the Eleanor. But I met Lucy when I set up the Jays Hospice in 2009, where I was Director of Care and Interim CEO. First impressions of you is that you were struggling to make yourself heard. I think that's probably one of my first impressions of you, that I felt you were really poorly, but that people probably weren't listening to you and didn't realise how poorly you were. And first impressions of you as a family is your mum was definitely a fighter, wanted the best for you, wasn't going to give up, but maybe also a bit frustrated.
Yeah, so what were your kind of impressions of me? Did you see the potential in me that I had back then when you first met me?
Yes, I think I did. I think you were at the time very sick, but I think I could see a very determined young lady. Somebody who wanted definitely, even at that very early stage, to do something with her life. So yeah, definitely did.
What do you think made me who I am today, and who do you think made me who I am today?
Your mum. I think your mum's had a huge effect on your life because, as I said in the beginning, she was fighting for you. So she wasn't going to accept that you were just going to stay in that bed and not achieve anything. But I think you, Lucy, because you didn't want to just give up. Right from those early days, you said you wanted to make a difference, that you wanted to do something with your life. So who's made you? I think your grandparents, your mum, I think have had a huge effect on your life. But I think you as a person, I think you've got a lot of inner strength that I don't think even I saw back in the early days. So I think you've got to give yourself a lot of credit, Lucy, because you haven't sat back to things. You could so easily have thought, my medical condition's too overwhelming to do these things. So I think the support of your mum and you as a person definitely has made a difference.
And you've played an important part in my life. You know, I wouldn't be here 7 years on if you hadn't fought for me and then put me in touch with all these opportunities. And I think the other thing for me is you've always believed in me. You've always seen my potential where other people have seen my problems.
But I think because I didn't see you as Lucy with a complex medical condition, to me you were Lucy who was incredibly bright, incredibly intelligent and incredibly capable of achieving. And so I think for me it was about how did we tap into that potential? How were we going to find you the opportunities to do those things? And once you'd given that speech at the Houses of Parliament, I think I recognised early on then, it wasn't so much you getting up and doing it, it's what you said, Lucy, and the powerful content of what you said and telling your story that I think was so incredible.
So what do you think of most when you think of me?
Somebody who wants to do things for others despite her own medical condition. Somebody who wants to make a difference. That sentence that you said to me all those years ago, that actually you're not content to sit back and think, well, I'm Lucy and I've got an overwhelming medical condition.
From my perspective, you've given me that ability to believe in myself, but also that ability to think I have a future. What do you think are my greatest strengths and qualities as a person?
So I think, what are your strengths and qualities? You're determined, you're committed, you're very loyal, you're a hard worker, you're bright, you're intelligent, you're very eloquent, I think, and you're very confident now with strangers and with other people, which I would never have thought would be possible. Not in those early days. You've probably actually achieved more, Lucy, in your few small years than a lot of people achieve in their whole lifetime. Look at what you've achieved, and that is because of your hard work, commitment, dedication. I think you're a very loyal person as well, Lucy, so you've stayed loyal to Together for Short Lives, to the Jays. You're always willing to want to help people, and I think that's a great quality in you.
If you had any advice for me for the future, what would you say?
Oh gosh, Lucy, do you know what? Keep doing what you're doing and don't give up. Don't ever. I used to say to you, don't ever give up. Always be determined. Don't give up. Don't give in to it. Keep fighting. Don't let the setbacks get you down. Keep making a difference. Keep doing what you're doing, Lucy, because you're incredible.
My name is Maddie Blackburn. I'm currently completing a doctorate at the Open University, and I chair the Open University Sexuality Alliance in Milton Keynes. And I got to know Lucy Watts, an amazing woman. I had the privilege of working and getting to know her through Together for Short Lives around 9 or 10 years ago, when I was then a Director of Care Development there. And Lucy was always involved in anything to do with sort of that importance of transition into adult life, of which she is not only a nationally renowned champion, but now an international champion. And we got to know a huge amount, and I learnt probably more from Lucy and some of my colleagues at Together for Short Lives around the important elements for people with life-limiting conditions through her.
What did you think of me when you first met and talked to me?
My first reaction, Lucy, was, wow, this lady, you have so much knowledge and experience.
Did you know back then just how much I'd achieve in the years after?
I began to sense it really in my initial relationship with you at Together for Short Lives. I thought, wow, because you were considerably younger then, in your teens, and that has grown. But you really knocked me sideways just with your knowledge base as someone in her sort of relatively tender years in your teens, and that's not knocking ability in teenage years, on the contrary, but you just knew so much about your condition, and what you didn't know about, you'd go away and look for it and try and find an answer that people in our organisation or at the Open University or wherever just couldn't get to grips with that sort of insightful knowledge base in the same way as you.
So what would you say are my greatest qualities as a person?
I think your qualities, number one, I really respect humility, and you have tremendous humility. That is actually balanced with your huge knowledge base. You're very articulate, your sincerity, and that is profound. Your generosity, because what you are learning for yourself, not just about your life-limiting condition, but everything else you do in life, your willingness to share with organisations, with individuals, with the world. And you always make time, however busy you are.
What do you think's made me who I am? Nature, nurture, family, friends, mentors?
So I think it's a combination of the nature, nurture, family, particularly your mother, and obviously you mentioned your grandparents. In terms of your working relationships, I think several people, and I think your engagement with the Jays, where you obviously have drawn on their support as a hospice organisation, has had a profound impact, and particularly Bev Barclay, who I know worked there until recently. So as an organisation, the Jays, but as an individual, I think Bev is a significant person in your life. Together for Short Lives, several people there who I know regularly have drawn upon your expertise and advice and really respect you. Lizzie Chambers being one of them, Katrina McNamara Guja, Barbara Gelb, the chief exec. But as an organisation, I think they're great players. I like to think that the Open University as well really value your contribution and input. I know that you have been a vital player on the Open University Sexuality Alliance, and the organisation really values, and we hope you value us as well.
I certainly do, and I've got a lot of brilliant mentors in my life, you included, which is really important. I think I've count a lot of people as my mentors that I work with, and you've had such an impact on my life personally and professionally. It's fantastic to have the support of people like yourself.
Well, the feeling is really, really mutual. And just on your comment, Barack Obama, when he made his inaugural presidential speech, said, "Yes, we can." And actually, if I had to sum you up, it'd be, "Yes, I can." You have perhaps more life experience because of what you have experienced through growing up, but your life-limiting condition has just made you mature in a very different way. You're incredibly articulate, highly intelligent, very motivated and driven. You have more energy than any of us in this room put together, and I'm not exactly idle, but you are highly energetic, very driven. You seize the goal, and you run with it. And this is a positive, not meant as a negative. Sometimes you just think, hang on, can you physically do any more in a day? I don't know where you fit everything in the 24 hours. And that's how I summed you up. Few people can actually achieve so much in that way, in that time. And actually, you are accepting that you've got a life-limiting condition, which between everything you have to manage yourself and with the support of your family and carers.
What do you think of when you think of me? What one or two things?
So it's that 24-hour commitment, that total energy, that total commitment, that energy, and empathy, and recognition of others, always before yourself. You always think of others.
Yeah.
And that's tough, given everything you do actually take on every day within yourself, but you're very generous.
What impact have I had on you as a person?
Huge. I think you've taught me a significant amount, not just about some aspects of the life-limiting condition that I haven't thought about, but actually, your uniqueness as a young adult, as a young person, as a really interesting person as Lucy Watts. And that's not just about your courage and generosity, but you as a highly intelligent individual. I've learned so much about people as young people, and to actually rethink some of my original thinking, and the huge contribution that the young person, someone like yourself, really brings to the world of disability, to the world of women,
Yes.
the rights of women, the rights of individuals. And you've had a significant impact on my life, on me as an individual, and on my work, and some of my relationships.
You, for me, are one of my strong role models. You've always believed in me, seen the potential, supported and mentored. You've always been such a big role model, and I think of people in my life that I look up to and I'm inspired by, the likes of yourself, Lizzie, Barbara Gale, Bev. I've got these fantastic people in my life. Because I think these are strong women at the top of their field doing everything, and actually I can be like that as well. I don't think you and Bev will actually, and everyone else will realise the impact you've had on my life.
You are a significant role model, not just for us, but for everyone.
If you could give me 2 pieces of advice for the future, what would you give me?
Don't give up and carry on doing what you're doing so well.